Well, Apple was about 90 days away from going bankrupt back then.
Just this week, you surpassed Microsoft in market valuation.
For those of us that have been in the industry a long time, it's surreal, but it doesn't matter very much. It's not what's important. It's not, what makes you come to work in the morning. It's not why any of our customers buy our products. So I think it's good for us to keep that in mind and just remember what we're doing and why we're doing it.
What did it feel like when it happened?
Well, Apple was about 90 days away from going bankrupt back then in the early days. And it was much worse than I thought when I went back initially. But there were people there who I'd expected all the good people would have left. And I found these miraculous people, these great people, and I said, why? I tried to ask this as tactfully as I could, but why are you still here? and a lot of them had this little phrase. They said, because I bleed in 6 colors.
Yeah.
Which was the old 6-color Apple logo. And that was code for, because I love what this place stands for, or at least stood for. And that just made all of us want to work that much harder to have it survive and have those values survive and bring it back. Apple is a company that doesn't have the most resources of everybody in the world. And the way we've succeeded is by choosing what horses to ride really carefully, technically. We try to look for these technical vectors that have a future and that are headed up. And technology, different pieces of technology kind of go in cycles. They have their springs and summers and autumns, and then they go to the graveyard of technology. And so we try to pick things that are in their springs. And if you choose wisely, you can save yourself an enormous amount of work versus trying to do everything. And you can really put energy into making those new emerging technologies be great on your platform, rather than just okay because you're spreading yourself too thin. So we have a history of doing that. As an example, we went from the 5-inch floppy disk to the 3.5-inch floppy disk with the Mac. We were the first to do that. We made the 3.5-inch floppy disk popular. Sony invented it, and we put it in the first products. And there were some good reasons we did that. We got rid of the floppy disk altogether in 1998 with the first iMac. We also got rid of these things called serial and parallel ports, and we were the first to adopt USB, even though Intel had invented it. You first saw it in mass on iMacs. We have gotten rid of things. We were one of the first to get rid of optical drives with the MacBook Air. And sometimes when we get rid of things like the floppy disk drive on the original iMac, people call us crazy.
Or at least premature, maybe.
No, they call us crazy. Sometimes you just have to pick the things that look like they're going to be the right horses to ride going forward. Things are packages of emphasis. Some things are emphasized in a product, some things are not done as well in a product, some things are chosen not to be done at all in a product. And so different people make different choices. And if the market tells us we're making the wrong choices, we listen to the market. We're just people running this company. We're trying to make great products for people. And so we have at least the courage of our convictions to say, we don't think this is part of what makes a great product. We're going to leave it out. Some people are going to not like that. They're going to call us names. It's not going to be in certain companies' vested interests that we do that, but we're going to take the heat because we want to make the best product in the world for customers. And we're going to instead focus our energy on these technologies, which we think are in their ascendancy and we think are going to be the right technologies for customers. And you know what? They're paying us to make those choices. That's what a lot of customers pay us to do, is to try to make the best products we can. And if we succeed, they'll buy them. And if we don't, they won't. And it'll all work itself out. So far I'd have to say that people seem to be liking iPads, So, I mean, We've sold one every 3 seconds since we launched it. I mean, we never saw ourselves in a platform war with Microsoft. I mean, maybe that's why we lost. But we always saw ourselves as trying to build the best computers we knew how to build for people. We want to make a better product than they do, and we do.
Right.
So that's what we're about. We're about making better products. And what I love about the consumer market that I always hated about the enterprise market is that we come up with a product, we try to tell everybody about it, and every person votes for themselves. They go yes or no. And if enough of them say yes, we get to come to work tomorrow. You know, that's how it works. It's really simple. As where the enterprise market, it's not so simple. The people that use the products don't decide for themselves. And the people that make those decisions sometimes are confused. So we love just trying to make the best products in the world for people and having them tell us by how they vote with their wallets whether we're on track or not. One of my beliefs very strongly is that any democracy depends on a free, healthy press. And so when I think of the most important journalistic endeavors in this country, I think of things like the Washington Post, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and publications like that. And we all know what's happened to the economics of those businesses. And some of them are in real trouble. So even more than magazines, I think some of these newspapers are, the news gathering and editorial organizations are really important. I don't want to see us descend into a nation of bloggers myself. I think we need editorial more than ever right now. So anything that we can do to help the New York Times and the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, and other news gathering organizations find new ways of expression so that they can afford to get paid, so they can afford to keep their news gathering and editorial operations intact, I'm all for. What I preach is that I don't know what's going to work, but I can tell you, as one of the largest sellers of content on the internet to date, the biggest lesson Apple's learned is price it aggressively and go for volume. And that's worked for us. And every time we haven't done that as much, we've seen more attenuated success. So I'm trying to get these folks to take more aggressive postures than what they charge traditionally for print, because they don't have the expenses of printing, they don't have the expenses of delivery, and to charge a reasonable price and go for volume. Because I think people are willing to pay for content.
Right.
I've believed it in music, I believe it in media, and I believe it in news content. I'm trying to think of a good analogy. When we were an agrarian nation, all cars were trucks, because that's what you needed on the farm. But as vehicles started to be used in the urban centers, and America started to move into those urban and then suburban centers, cars got more popular, and innovations like automatic transmission and power steering and things that you didn't care about in a truck as much started to become paramount in cars. And now, probably, I don't know what the statistics are, maybe 1 out of every 25 vehicles, 30 vehicles is a truck, where it used to be 100%. PCs are going to be like trucks. They're still going to be around. They're still going to have a lot of value, but they're going to be used by 1 out of X people.
And when you say PC, just so I'm clear, it's not PC versus Mac. You mean
I mean personal
computers, and you're including laptops and desktops.
Yeah. And this transformation is going to make some people uneasy. People from the PC world, like you and me. It's going to make us uneasy because the PC's taken us a long ways. It's brilliant. And we like to talk about the post-PC era, but when it really starts to happen, I think it's uncomfortable for a lot of people, and because it's change, and a lot of vested interests are going to change, and it's going to be different. So I think that we're embarked on that. Is it the iPad? Who knows? Will it happen next year, or 5 years from now, or 7 years from now? Who knows? But I think we're heading
Well, you
in
don't
that
really
direction.
think it's going to happen next year, right? I mean, it's a longer process than that, isn't it?
Sure. People laugh at me because I have used the phrase magical to describe the iPad.
Yes, they do.
And, but it's what I really think. And there's something magical about it. It's like you have a much more direct and intimate relationship with the internet and media, your apps, your content. It's like some intermediate thing has been removed and stripped away.
Well, the keyboard.
You know, like that Claritin commercial where they strip away the film?
Yeah.
It's like that.
Okay.
Is it the direct action? Is it the fact that you can move it all around? Is it the fact that you have no cables and 10-hour battery life? I don't know. It's all these things plus other things which I don't understand yet. But there's something about it that's magical. And I think we are just scratching the surface on the kind of apps we can build for it. I think one can create a lot of content on a tablet.
But then I sat back and said to myself, I invented a motherfucker. I actually sat back when I was fat